سيد الحبيب المصطفى وعلى آله وأصحابه نجوم الهدى قادة التقى اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد عبدك ورسولك النبي الأمي نبي الرحمة كما تحب وترضى عدد ما تحب وترضى كلما ذكره الذاكرون وكلما غفل عن ذكره الغافلون اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا ومشايخنا ووفقنا لما تحب وترضى من القول والعمل وجنبنا الفواحش والمعاصي والخطايا والزلل. اللهم اعثرنا ولا تؤثرنا علينا، اللهم اعطنا ولا تحرمنا، اللهم اكرمنا ولا تهنا، اللهم اصلح لنا شأننا كله لا اله الا انت. أما بعد. We are reading the chapter Babu Jam'il Quran. We read the hadith of Zayd ibn Thabit radiyallahu anhu regarding Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu calling him over after the battle of Yamama, in which 700 Huffaz became shaheed among the 1200 Sahaba. So 500 non-Hafiz and 700 Hafiz became shaheed. So Sayyiduna Umar radiyallahu anhu approached the Khalifatul Muslimin, Sayyiduna Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, and urged him to collect and compile the Quran in the form of a mushaf. And Sayyiduna Abu Bakr did so. We will continue with the hadith. If you remember, in the last lesson, I explained that Quran Pak was compiled 3 times. Once in the lifetime of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when he was written down, noted, and he was with various Sahaba. Whoever was available was called over and he wrote it down. However, this was just a secondary precautionary matter. The main preservation of Quran was Sina Basina, heart to heart. Min suduri rijal. Bal huwa ayatun bayyinatun fi suduri alladhina utul ilm. Quran is clear verses in the hearts of those who've been given ilm. So, it was preserved from heart to heart. And writing was also done. Every verse of the Quran was written down by someone somewhere, and various Sahabas had these verses written with them. Second compilation was in the time of Sayyiduna Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, when it was compiled, noted, written down in the form of one mushaf. This is mentioned over here. And the third was in the time of Sayyiduna Uthman Ghani radiyallahu anhu, which we will read in the next hadith which follows. This hadith, we will continue with some ajza of the hadith. Sayyiduna Zayd ibn Thabit radiyallahu anhu says that when I came to the majlis of Sayyiduna Abu Bakr and Umar, Sayyiduna Abu Bakr spoke and he said that Umar came to me and said that the qatl has heated up on the day of Yamama with those who were Hafiz of Quran. And I fear that if it keeps heating up with the Qur'an and Huffaz in these battles, then a lot of Quran could be wasted or abandoned or destroyed. Therefore, Umar said, in my opinion, you should instruct Jam'ul Quran. I said to Umar, كيف تفعل شيئا لم يفعله رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم? How could you do something which Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam himself did not do. In the nuskha of Hafiz ibn Hajar's Fathul Bari, كيف نفعل شيئا, how can we do something which Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam did not do? So Umar said, هذا والله خير. This wallah is khair. So فلم يزل عمر يراجعني حتى شرح الله صدري لذلك. Umar kept on repeating this to me until Allah opened my breast for this. وَرَأَيْتُ فِي ذَلِكَ الَّذِي رَأَى عُمَرُ. And I also see that which Umar sees, and I opine with his opinion and agree with him. Now, this statement of Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu saying, how can we do something which Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam did not do? Well, sometimes Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam might not have done something for some reason, but that is not a dalil that that thing is haram. Shaykh Abdul Haq Muhaddith Dehlavi rahmatullah alayhi writes in Lam'atul Tanqih Sharh Mishkat al-Masabih that Sayyiduna Umar saying Huwa wallahi khayrun, Haza wallahi khayrun indicates that there is something called bid'ati hasana. In fact, some bid'at is wajib. For example, ta'allumu sarfi wal nahwi. Studying sarf and nahw is wajib in order to study Arabic and understand Quran Sharif. If you don't know sarf and nahw, you don't know Arabic, you can't understand Quran, you can't do tafsir of Quran Sharif. So it's wajib to learn nahw sarf before you study Quran Sharif. You can't just study Quran Sharif from translations and start tafsir of it. Sometimes something might be new but mustahab. Hafiz ibn Hajar Asqalani rahmatullah alayhi writes over here that Ibn Abi Dawood narrated in his book Al-Masahif with Isnad Hasan from Abd Khair that Sayyiduna Ali karramallahu wajhahu said, أعظم الناس أجرا في المصاحف أبو بكر رحمة الله على أبي بكر وهو أول من جمع كتاب الله. May Allah have mercy upon Abu Bakr. He is the greatest in regards to rewards with regards to Mus'haf, because he is the first to compile the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Hafiz ibn Hajar Asqalani rahmatullah alayhi poses a question over here from some Rawafid who object on Sayyiduna Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu for compiling the Quran. They say, how could Abu Bakr do something which Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam did not do? Hafiz ibn Hajar gives the answer to that, that number one, لم يفعل ذلك إلا بطريق الاجتهاد السائغ الناشئ عن النصح منه لله ولرسوله ولكتابه ولأئمة المسلمين وعامتهم. That Sayyiduna Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu anhu did this due to ijtihad. Ijtihad meaning thinking carefully and deducing some Shar'i mas'ala is called ijtihad Shar'i. So Sayyiduna Abu Bakr did ijtihad and he has the ability to do ijtihad. And this ijtihad is based on Quran, Hadith and the mansha and what Quran, Hadith, Allah and His Rasul want from us. This is called ijtihad Shar'i. So he did this ijtihad Shar'i, and this was due to the hadith of Sahih Muslim, ad-deenun nasiha. Deen is to wish well. Nasihat. Sahaba said, liman? Nasiha for whom? Wishing well for whom? And he replied, lillahi wa li kitabihi wa li rasulihi wa li ayimmatil muslimeen wa ammatihim. Wishing well for Allah, for His Rasul, for His kitab, wa li kitabihi. So this was nasihat for Kitabullah, to preserve and protect it in the form of a book. So it was his ijtihad that this is the better option for Kitabullah. Number one point. Number two, Hafiz ibn Hajar rahmatullah alayhi writes that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam himself had permitted writing down Quran Sharif. He said in one hadith, لا تكتبوا عني شيئا غير القرآن. Don't write from me anything besides Quran. He wanted to keep Quran pure, so nothing is mixed with it. Hadith does not get mixed with Quran. So he said, don't write my hadith, write Quran Sharif. This was in one place. Then he permitted special people to note hadith as well, like Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As and others. Like he said, Uktubu li Abi Shah, and some hadiths which were noted down by Sahaba. But he wanted to protect the Quran. That's why he said, just write Quran Sharif, not anything else. So Sahaba used to write Quran Sharif. So Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam himself had given permission to write Quran Sharif. And Sayyiduna Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu anhu lam ya'mur Abu Bakr illa bi kitabati ma kana maktuban. He only instructed to write down that which was already written. The only thing he did was compile in one book form, Jama'. And this is why Sayyiduna Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu anhu and Zayd ibn Thabit radiyallahu anhu hesitated from writing the last two ayats of Surah Bara'ah. لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ. Though Sayyiduna Abu Bakr was Hafiz, Zayd ibn Thabit was Hafiz, Umar ibn Khattab was Hafiz, and other Sahabas were Hafiz, hundreds of Hafiz, but they wanted it in written form, and two witnesses who say that this was written in the presence of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they could not find someone who had it written down, and they searched and searched and searched, and finally Abu Khuzaymah al-Ansari radiyallahu anhu came. He said, this is it, here I have it written with me in the presence of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he was only writing that which was already written. The only difference is he was in separate places and he was putting it in one place. That's it. So there is no i'tiraz and objection on Sayyiduna Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu anhu. And number three, Hafiz writes that إِذَا تَأَمَّلَ الْمُنصِفِ مَا فَعَلَهُ أَبُو بَكْرٍ مِنْ ذَلِكَ جزم بأنه يعد في فضائله وينوه بعظيم منقبته لثبوت قوله صلى الله عليه وسلم من سن سنة حسنة فله أجرها وأجر من عمل بها بعده فما جمع القرآن أحد بعده إلا وكان لأبي بكر مثل أجره إلى يوم القيامة. That if a munsif, a person with insaf and fairness, ponders over what Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu anhu did, he will realize that this is among the Fadha'il and Manaqib of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu anhu. That he is compiling the Quran Sharif. It shows his high status in the eyes of Allah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspired him to do this great work of compiling the Quran in one place. It was from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he compiled it. And we read the hadith, whoever starts a good way and others follow will get the reward of all those who follow. Now whoever writes the Quran in the form of a book, publishes it, spreads it, then Abu Bakr Siddiq will also get thawab of that, because he is the first compiler and jami'. So it is a manqabat and fadilat for Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu anhu. And he writes, point number 4, that Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu anhu had a great ihtimam and fikr and worry about Kitabullah. He was connected to Quran Sharif. We read this in the hadith of Ibn Daghina, when Ahl Makkah tried to drive him out of Makkah Mukarramah, and he left. He doing hijrah. Ibn Daghina met him along the way. Where are you going? He said, my people do not let me pray namaz and read Quran. I'm going somewhere where I can peacefully read Quran and worship my Rabb. Ibn Daghina said, you are a good man. You should not be driven out of a city like Makkah. Come, I'll give you my protection. So he came back and he told Quraysh, that I am a leader of my community, I am giving protection to Abu Bakr. They said, okay, you can give him protection, but tell him not to read Quran outside. He can read Quran in his home, but not outside. So they put the condition. Sayyidina Abu Bakr said, okay. But for a few days, he abided by that. He could not take it any longer. So he began to stand outside in the court and veranda of his house. And when he would read Quran, he would cry a lot. He was talla'un lil Quran and bakka'un. He used to cry a lot. So mushrikeens, women and children and pass by, they look at him, they keep looking at Abu Bakr Siddiq and listening to his Quran. So they then sent to Ibn Daghina, look, Abu Bakr has broken his promise, so you come and tell him either to keep the promise or leave. So he came and talked to Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr said, thank you for your protection for these days. I am happy with Allah's protection, but I won't stop reading Quran outside. And he continued to read outside. Allah protected him until Allah granted him hijrat with Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. From there we read that he has special connection with Quran. He used to read Quran Shareef a lot. And that is probably one of the reasons why Allah chose him to collect the Quran and compile it in the form of a book. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself had indicated that Quran will be collected in the form of a book. Ibn al-Baqillani rahmatullahi alayhi said that Allah has said, Inna alayna jam'ahu wa Qur'ana. So jam'ahu, it includes laka fi sadrika, in the heart, but also jam'ahu in the form of a book. Also, Allah said, Inna hadha lafi suhufil ula. This Quran is mentioned in the earlier scriptures. And then Allah said in another place, Rasulun minallahi yatlu suhufan mutahhara. Muhammadur Rasulullah is reading suhufan mutahhara, such sahifas and books which are pure and clean and pure. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself indicated that this Quran will be compiled in the form of a book, and Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu got that indication that it should be compiled in the form of a book. However, when Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu came and he said that do this, first of all, Abu Bakr was taken aback and he said, no, how can we do something which Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not do? And he had this little bit of cautious nature. He was very cautious. He was muhtat. And due to his ihtiyat for matters of deen, ihtiyat for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he did not want to do something which Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam had not done. That if he was something necessary, he would have done it, but he's not done it, so we can't do it. But Hazrat Sayyiduna Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu said, no. Perhaps Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam was cautious for other reasons. But those reasons have now gone. Now the caution is in compiling it in the form of a book. I mentioned last week, if you remember in the lesson, that Abu Sulaiman Khattabi rahmatullah alayhi said, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam did not compile it in the form of a book because Quran was continuously being revealed, verses upon verses, verses upon verses. And many times there was nasikh mansukh. Now if he was, and there were many verses whose tilawat was mansukh, hukm is baqi. So they would have had to keep editing it every time if he was in the form of a book, cutting, editing. Allah did not want that to happen. So in the time of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the ihtiyat was to keep it away from writing in the form of one book. But now Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam has died, there is no more naskh, no more abrogation, and whole Quran is revealed now. Everything is preserved. So now the ihtiyat and caution was in compiling it in the form of a book. So circumstances change, so the hukm also changed. This is why Sayyiduna Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu said, Huwa wallahi khairun, Huwa wallahi khairun. And Hafiz writes a very good point over here, which we need to understand. He says, وَدَلَّ ذَلِكَ على أن فعل الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا تجرد عن القرائن وكذا تركه لا يدل على وجوب ولا على تحريم. انتهى قوله. That this indicates that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam's fi'l, when it is free from any other qara'in and signs, or his tark, his abandoning and leaving, when it is free from any other qara'in, then his fi'l does not indicate towards wujub or tahreem. He might have done something, he might have left something for other reasons. But now, if the need is there, then we can do it or it can be prohibited. So, Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's fi'l, if it is connected with instructions, command, you must do this, then that is out of question. That is a must. But if he did something, a fi'l on his own, then there is still flexibility in the interpretation of that. It does not indicate towards wujub, and tark does not indicate towards tahreem. He might have done something, but it wouldn't be wajib. For example, he married more than 4 wives, but that's not for us, it was for him. Or haram, or he might have left something, he might have not done something, but that does not mean we can't do it either. It does not, his leaving does not indicate towards tahreem. If he left it, that does not mean it's haram. He might have not done it for some reason, some hikmah, some wisdom, but that hikmah, wisdom is gone, so it's not haram, it's allowed now. So this is a point, beautiful point, which Hafiz ibn Hajar rahmatullahi alayhi has mentioned over here. So they call upon Sayyiduna Zayd ibn Thabit radiallahu anhu, and Abu Bakr Siddiq mentions this to him, and he says to him, إنك رجل شاب عاقل لا نتهمك وقد كنت تكتب الوحي لرسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فتتبع القرآن فاجمعه. You are a man grown up, young, and wise, and understanding, intelligent. We have no doubts and suspicions regarding you, and you used to write wahi for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Therefore, you search for Quran and compile it. He says, فوالله لو كلفوني نقل جبل من الجبال ما كان أثقل علي مما أمرني به. Wallah, if they were to command me and order me to transfer a mountain from among the mountains from its place to another, that would not have been more burdensome upon me than that which they had told me with regards to compilation of Quran. Hence, I said, كيف تفعلون شيئا لم يفعله رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. How could you do something which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not do? He said, هو والله خير. Wallah, there is khair in there. Wallah, there is khair in there. Wallah, there is khair in there. Though he did not do it, but there's khair in there. He's not doing his tark is not a dalil of hurmat tahreem. He did not do it, but does not mean it's haram. It's still halal, it's jaiz to compile it in the form of a book. Who's saying this? Sayyiduna Abu Bakr and Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhuma. And we have to remember that hadith wherein he sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, اقتدوا بالذين من بعدي من أصحابي أبي بكر وعمر. Follow those among my Sahaba who are after me. I mean Abu Bakr and Umar. Those two Sahabas after me, Abu Bakr and Umar. So we have been told to follow their sunnah. We have also been told, alaykum bi sunnati wa sunnatil khulafa'ir rashidin al-mahdiyyin addu alayha bin nawajid. And they are khulafa'ir rashidin. So we have to do what they did. So he kept on saying this. Hafiz writes that over here, Sayyiduna Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu mentioned 4 qualities of Sayyiduna Zayd ibn Thabit radiallahu anhu. First quality was, innaka rajulun shabun. You are a young man, meaning you are energetic, you are brimming with confidence, you are strong, and you are mentally stable. Second thing he said, aqil. You are aqalmand, you are intelligent, you are a wise man, your mind, a frame of mind is correct, you can do the thing rightly. And number 3, he said, and because you are aqil, you retain Quran properly. You are aqil, meaning you have retained, and you are hafiz as well. you know Quran Sharif from beginning till end. You retain it properly. And number three, he said, uh, we do not have any suspicions regarding you. La nattahimuka. So because there is no suspicion on him, so people can incline towards him, lean towards him. They can help him, support him with the task which he is going to undertake. People will help him. And fourth thing he said was, Kunta taktubul wahya li Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So because you had been writing the wahi, you have a practice of writing. You've written many things. Many things are written with you. You are Hafiz. Abu Bakr himself is Hafiz. Umar is Hafiz. And hundreds of Sahabas are Hafiz. And on top of that, you got lots of it written with you. So you have these four qualities. Being young man is energetic in comparison to an old man. So you are very sharp, alert, energetic. Number two, you are aqil, you are wise, understanding, hafiz, you retain everything properly. And number three, la nantahimuka, we have no doubts about you, no suspicion on you, we trust you. We know you'll do a good job. So you are trustworthy. And number four, you've already been writing the wahi. Quran Sharif in the presence of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and many surahs were written by you directly. So you'll just have to go around and find those surahs which are not with others. So you can do this job in a very good manner. So this is why he said, write it. فَتَتَبَّعِ الْقُرْآنِ فَجْمَعْهُ. Search for Quran and gather it, collect it. So had they told me to do something even harder than this, it would have been easier for me. Like take a spade and a wheelbarrow and transfer this mountain to that mountain and that mountain to that mountain. So I would have done that. If I have to spend many days or weeks or months or years, I would have done that. That would have been easier for me than this huge task which was put on my shoulders. So he says, I said, how can we do something which Prophet ﷺ did not do? فَلَمْ يَزَلْ and Abu Bakr said, هُوَ وَاللَّهِ خَيْرٌ. Though he did not do it, but there's khair in there. There's khair in there. There's khair in there. So he kept on. فَلَمْ يَزَلْ أَبُو بَكْرٍ يُرَاجِعُنِي حَتَّى شَرَحَ اللَّهُ صَدْرِي لِلَّذِي شَرَحَ لَهُ صَدْرَ أَبِي بَكْرٍ. Abu Bakr kept on repeating this to me until Allah opened my chest for that for which he opened the chest of Abu Bakr. This is called Sharh al-Sadr, confidence. أَلَمْ نَشْرَحْ لَكَ صَدْرَكَ فَمَنْ يُرِدِ اللَّهُ أَنْ يَهْدِيَهُ يَشْرَحْ صَدْرَهُ لِلْإِسْلَامِ. So Sharh al-Sadr, confidence, 100% confidence. I gained that confidence and that understanding and realization which they both has realized that yes, this is necessary. It's something that we must do it before Quran Sharif is abandoned and it's lost. Before it fades away, we have to do it and gather it in the form of Quran Sharif. So he says, لِلَّذِي شَرَحَ صَدْرَ أَبِي بَكْرٍ وَعُمَرٍ فَتَتَبَّعْتُ الْقُرْآنَ أَجْمَعُهُ مِنَ الْعُصُبِ وَاللِّخَافِ وَصُدُورِ الرِّجَالِ. I began to search for Quran Sharif and I gathered it from usub, plural of asib. And asib means jaridatun nakhl, date palm trees, long leaves. You know how palm tree is, and its leaves are very, very long. So when you cut them and leave them for some time, they dry out and the greenery goes and they become brown. So it looks like a paper. You get some coal or chalk, black chalk, you can write on there. So some people had some Quran written on these long and wide date palm leaves. And وَاللِّخَافِ likhaf, Suyuti explained, كانوا يخشطون الخواص ويكتبون في الطرف العريض. They used to take out the leaves and when they are dry, they would write on their sideways. How? Likhaf is plural of lakhfatun. Hijaratun bidun riqaqun. They were thin, white colored stones and they are wide, thin, and in color they are white. So you can write on there with a coal. Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi, when he began to study in Makkah Mukarramah, he was from a poor family. So he could not have any pen, paper. So he would go around, and where there were some, camels were slaughtered and bones were spread. Camels' bones are some are wide, so he would get those wide bones and use some coal to write on them. He would go to the lesson, he would write, he would memorize, and then wipe all that away, and he's committed to his memory. And next day he would write on there again. So they used to write in this manner on stones as well and on white bones as well. So min al likhaf, min al usub wal likhaf. In other places there is a riqah as well. Chitra, kapda, clothing, pieces of cloth. Also al aktaf. Aktaf means the shoulders, bone, shoulder bone, and you eat all the meat and the white bone is left. They used to write on there as well. And wasuduri rijal, and collecting it from the hearts of men. Hatta wajadtu. Now they were doing this task. Sayyiduna Zayd ibn Thabit was writing it. Sayyiduna Umar was with him. Sayyiduna Abu Bakr was with him as well. Because in the other riwayat, the words are, you help us and we will compile the Quran. So Abu Bakr was with them as well, and Umar was with them as well. In another riwayat by Ibn Abi Dawud in his Masahif, from the tariq of Yahya ibn Abdul Rahman ibn Hatib, it is said, قام عمر فقال من كان تلقى من رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم شيئا من القرآن فليأتي به وكانوا يكتبون ذلك في الصحف والألواح والعصب قال وكان لا يقبل من أحد شيئا حتى يشهد شاهدان. Sayyidina Umar stood up and announced, whoever had received from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam some part of Quran, he should bring it. And they had habit of writing it on papers and on slates and on the palm leaves which are dried out. So they brought all that, and Umar and Zayd ibn Thabit would not accept anything until two witnesses testified that we were present when he was writing it down. So let's say when Zayd ibn Thabit was writing that down, we were there. When Uthman was writing it down, Muawiyah ibn Sufyan was writing down. There were about 27 scribes, writers of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So whenever they were writing down, we too were present. It's because he used to write in big majlis. So we were there when it was written down. In spite of being Hafiz, this was the cautious approach which they took. حتى يشهد شاهدان يعني شاهدان على أن ذلك كتب في حضرتهما. In their presence it was written down. Hafiz ibn Hajar says وهذا يدل على أن زيدا كان لا يكتفي بمجرد وجدانه مكتوبا حتى يشهد به من تلقاه سماعا مع كون زيد كان يحفظه كان يفعل ذلك في مبالغة في الاحتياط. In the other riwayat of Ibn Abi Dawud in Masahif from Hisham ibn Urwa and Abihi's tariq, it is written أن أبا بكر قال لعمر ولزيد اقعدا على باب المسجد فمن جاءكما بشاهدين على شيء من كتاب الله فاكتباه. Sit on the gate and the doorway of the masjid. Whoever comes with two witnesses about something which was written in their presence, then write it down. So this is how it was written down and compiled in the form of a book. Hafiz ibn Hajar says, وَكَانَ غَرَضُهُمْ أَلَّا يُكْتَبَ إِلَّا مِنْ عَيْنِ مَا كُتِبَ بَيْنَ يَدَيِ النَّبِيِّ صلى الله عليه وسلم لَا مِنْ مُجَرَّدِ الْحِفْظِ. Their aim was that nothing is written except that which was written in the presence of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They would not write it just from their hafza, from their memory. Even though their memories were really sharp, they were hafiz of Quran. Right, like this young man is hafiz of Quran. He can read for Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahmaan Ar-Rahim Alif Lam Mim Zalikal Kitab La Rayba Fi without any mistakes. So he knows it. But Zayd ibn Thabit knew it, Abu Bakr Siddiq knew it, Umar Farooq knew it, Uthman Ghani knew it, Ali al-Murtada knew it. All the many Sahabas who were Huffaz knew it. But they wouldn't write it just from Hafiza. They want Ainu ma kutiba bihadratin Nabiyya sallallahu alayhi wasallam. This is how cautious they were. So they collected the Quran in this manner, in the form of a book. He says, حتى وجدت آخر سورة براءة مع أبي خزيمة سورة التوبة مع أبي خزيمة الأنصاري رضي الله عنه لم أجدها مع أحد غيره لقد جاءكم رسول من أنفسكم عزيز عليه ما عنتم حريص عليكم بالمؤمنين رؤوف رحيم فإن تولوا فقل حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم. These two verses, the closing verses of Surah At-Tawbah, we found them with Abu Khuzaymah al-Ansari radiyallahu anhu. I did not find them with anyone other than him. لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ إِلَى آخِرِهِ حَتَّى خَاتِمَةِ سُورَةِ بَرَاءَةٍ. Meaning, who has these verses written? And nobody was coming forward. Now they knew they are verses of Quran, and they are at the end of Surah Bara'ah, but they need it written down. Announcement after announcements are made. And then Abu Khuzaymah al-Ansari radiyallahu anhu comes and he says that I have it written down. And these are the two witnesses in front of whom it was written down. So he shows it to them. They see the writing and bi'aynihi, which was written in the presence of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They note it at the end of Surah Bara'ah, Surah At-Tawbah. He says, فَكَانَتِ الصُّحُفْ عِنْدَ أَبِي بَكْرٍ حَتَّى تَوَفَّاهُ اللَّهُ. They were added in there, and these papers and files were with Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took him away, meaning he died. Then they were with Sayyiduna Umar radiyallahu anhu during his lifetime. Then they were with Hafsa, daughter of Sayyiduna Umar radiyallahu anhu. Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu kept it with him for safety. When he was dying, he appointed Hazrat Sayyidina Umar as his Khalifa. He called in Sayyidina Uthman Ghani radiyallahu anhu and said that Uthman, write this letter which I am telling you. And he wrote this: I am Khalifatul Muslimin, Abu Bakr Siddiq, and I am on the verge of departing from this world into the next world. And I do not want to leave the matter of the Ummah ambiguous or in the hands of people. I am appointing Umar ibn Khattab as my successor. If he does well, then that is what I think of him. If he goes off track, then I don't have knowledge of ghaib and unseen. However, I am appointing him as my successor. He writes this short letter. When Uthman has written whatever he dictated, he calls Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu anhu and says that Umar, I am appointing you as my successor. You have to take care of the Khilafat after me and look after the Ummah. Sayyidina Umar said, no, I can't do that. I'm sorry. You have to appoint someone else. And Sayyidina Abu Bakr said, what are you saying? Bring me my sword. I'm still alive. I'm still the Khalifa. Are you going to obey or not? Otherwise, I'm going to chop your head off. And Sayyidina Umar said, okay, I will obey. I listen to you. So he said, read the letter to him, Usman, close it, and when I die, go in the masjid, stand on the mimbar, read out the letter to people, and tell them to give their bayat to Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu. So Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu anhu died. Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu anhu was appointed as Khalifa, and he ruled over the Ummah for just over 10 years. 10 years and 5 months. And he was martyred on this day. Today is the 1st of Muharram, 1445. Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu was martyred on this day, 1st of Muharram, the year 24 after Hijrah. He was stabbed by Abu Lu'lu'ah al-Majusi in Fajr Salah on the 27th of Dhul Hijjah. He remained alive for 3 days and he breathed his last on the 1st of Muharram, the year 24 after Dhul Hijjah. Today, after Hijrah. And today is the 1st of Muharram, 1445 after Hijrah. 1444 has just finished. So, Sayyiduna Umar Abu Bakr Siddiq died. He passed it on to Sayyiduna Umar radiyallahu anhu. Sayyiduna Umar kept it with him for 10 years. When he was dying, he did not appoint anyone as his Khalifa. So he left that Mus'haf with his daughter, Ummul Mu'mineen, Hafsa radiyallahu anha, that look after this, whatever happens will happen later on. So when Sayyidina Umar died, Sayyidina Uthman Ghani radiallahu anhu became his Khalifa. He was selected by a team which was chosen by Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu. And uh, he said that these six are the team who will select the Khalifa. Uthman, Ali, Talha, Zubair, Abdurrahman ibn Auf, and sixth person, I think Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. Sa'd ibn Waqqas. And said that these six should sit down, make mashwara, and choose one person from them. And this mashwara should be completed within 3 days. And for 3 days, the Khalifa and the leader of the community is Suhaib al-Rumi radiallahu anhu. And he said to Suhaib, if these six don't appoint a Khalifa from among them within 3 days, then kill them all, chop all their necks off. فَضْرِبُوا أَعْنَاقَهُمْ. They must appoint someone within 3 days. There should be no delay after 3 days. So the committee sat down after burying Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu next to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu behind Abu Bakr, Sayyidina Umar. After the burial, they sat down. They talked among themselves, and then Sayyidina Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas said, I don't want Khilafat, it's too big task for me. Abdul Rahman said, I don't want it either. So they looked at Talha, Zubair. Talha said, I give my option of Khilafat to Uthman. Zubair said, I give mine to Ali. So now there's only two left, Uthman and Ali. So he said, Abdul Rahman said that, look, there's two of you left. Now, if you give me permission, I will go around the city of Medina and see what people say, and I will choose one from among you. So they said, okay, that's it. So Sayyidina Abdul Rahman ibn Auf radiallahu anhu went around masajid, majalis, shops, businesses, talking to people, groups here and there. Who should be Khalifa? Who should be Khalifa? Who should be Khalifa? And everybody was saying Usman, 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 Usman should be Khalifa, Usman should be Khalifa. So he realized that everybody is talking about Usman and he is the right person for the job. So on the third day, they all gathered together, the sixth committee, and he said, look, I've been around, I've done my mashwara, you've appointed me to fix one of you. Now, Usman, if I appoint Ali, will you obey him? Usman said, yes. Ali, if I appoint Usman, will you obey him? Ali said, yes. He said, Usman, give me your hand. Everybody is talking about you, and you deserve the Khilafat. So I'm appointing you as the Khalifatul Muslimin. And Usman accepted the bayat, and then he reigned for 12 years. And after 12 years, Sayyidina Usman was martyred, and then Sayyidina Ali became Khalifa. So during that 12 years rule, Sayyidina Usman Ghani radiallahu anhu compiled the Quran again. He had it taken from Ummul Mu'mineen Hafsa radiallahu anha. He looked at it. He was Hafiz of Quran himself because he used to read whole Quran in one rakat at night. After Isha, he would start from Alif Lam Mim and he would finish on one Nas before Fajr. So he was a great Hafiz of Quran. He worked on Quran Sharif. How Usman compiled the Quran, Jama' of Quran, and for what reason is in the next hadith. Next hadith we'll read next week, inshallah. Over here we stop at this, that فكانت الصحف عند أبي بكر حتى توفاه الله ثم عند عمر حياته ثم عند حفصة بنت عمر. And from Hafsa bint Umar, they went on to Sayyiduna Uthman Ghani radiallahu anhu. Because Umar did not appoint anyone as Khalifa, he did not give it to anyone. He kept it his daughter, because his daughter was Ummul Mu'mineen Hafsa radiallahu anha. She looked after it, and then it was passed on to Uthman Ghani, who then compiled it in the form of surats, compiling, organizing, managing, tartib of all surah. Surah Fatiha, then Surah Baqarah, then Surah Al Imran, long surahs, then medium surahs, then short surahs, Sab'i Tiwal, and Al-Mi'in, Al-Mathani, Al-Mufassal. This is how he compiled the Quran in that form. We will talk about that later in the next lesson, inshallah, if Allah wills. Wa akhiru da'wana, anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wa sallallahu wa sallam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما. اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين. परवरदिगार आलम या अरहमर राहिमीन या अकरमुल अकरमीन या ज़ल क़ुव्वतिल मतीन या राहिमल मसाकीन. Ya Allah, give us tawfiq to learn Quran, understand Quran, to value Quran Sharif, and Allah reward Sahaba Kiram, khususan Sayyiduna Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, Sayyiduna Umar Farooq, Sayyiduna Uthman Ghani, radiyallahu anhum ajma'een, Sayyiduna Ali Murtada, Khulafai Rashideen, for their efforts in preserving, protecting the Quran Sharif. Reward them in full. Allow us to follow in their footsteps. Accept our humble efforts. Be pleased with us. Give us all the good things which your beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam asked from you. Protect us from all those evils from which he sought your protection. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. وصلى اللهم وسلم على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك.